Hi guys, this is me post challenge. Today I haven't been able to do the challenge in time, so at 11 o'clock. So I did it later, and since I was a little bit confused on part 3 and I sort of did a couple of attempts before writing a readable code, this is just me after the challenge explaining what I did and what like how was the problem like today. So today we were asked to just take these tracks, so this list of numbers, and just perform these swaps in part 1. And at the end of the day, you just have to print the 10th track in your list. And this is what I did. So I wrote the swap function, even though you can use the one in the Python's, let's say, standard library. And then I did this split on the double n to get this on the double new line to get these 3 blocks. And then I just went through the swaps and swap the number. Part 2, in part 2, basically you were asked to do the same thing, but this time you have to do swaps of 3, meaning that you're given 3 values, x, y, and z, and x, y, and z are given like this. So x is this, y is this, and z is this. So you have to go on the next line to get the z number. So then the next triplet is 5, 8, 5, 8, 10. So you go here 5, 8, 10, then 10, 1, 6, and so on and so forth. And you have to do you have to put x in y, y in z, and z in x. Remember, when you have to do this chain of swaps, you always have to start from the end and swap the numbers backwards. And that's just it. And also another detail that I missed at first and made me lose some time was when you actually are at the end here, so the last triplet, you have to take the first triplet at the beginning here. And to do that, when I retrieve the z number, so the last number of the triplet, I just use the modulo to get the first element of the list. Then for part 3, instead, it was simpler than how it looked. It was a little, the text was a little bit confusing. Like if you read it carefully and diligently from beginning to the end, you understand it better. But if you like, lately I've been trying to just get a look at the input and trying to understand what I have to do by looking at examples to be a little bit faster, but this time it didn't really help. Because what you have to do is you have to take blocks of numbers. So for example, let's say here you have a 4, 8. This means that you have to take the number at position 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, this one, and number at position 8, so 5, 6, 7, 8, this one. And you have to take the longest block possible such that the 2 blocks are not overlapping, and obviously the rightmost block is not going out of the list. So in this case, you can take a block of 3. So these 3 and these 3 here. And once you identify the blocks, you just swaps the element, like the first element of the block with the first, the second with the second, and the third with the third. And that's literally just what you do. If you have blocks in reverse order, it's the same. Like 10, 1 is the same as having 1, 10. And that's just it. Like when I reading this, it's not super clear at first. Then it's just easier than what it looks. And at the end of the day, you always have to print the element in the target position. And the correct way to do this is to write a find block function, which just gives you the length of the block. And then the swap is trivial. But to get the length of the block, you just take the minimum between the absolute difference between the two. So in this case, you take the longest block such that the two do not overlap. But the problem is that maybe the last block is really near to the end, so you cannot take such a long block. And if that happens, then what the length of the block is the length of the list minus the rightmost start between the two. You just take the minimum between a 1 and a 2, and that's the length of your block. That's it. So I hope in the next days to be able to be a little bit faster and actually give some live recordings. Okay, so these were my 3 answers. Thank you for watching and see you next time.